Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have built their entire post royal brand on privacy, and yet somehow they keep finding ways to stay very public, especially when there's a new venture to promote. Now, according to royal editor Matt Wilkinson, there's tension brewing between the two over how their kids are being used in the spotlight. And if this story is true, we may be seeing something we've never seen before. Harry quietly resisting Meghan's control and Meghan slowly pushing past it. Let's talk about narcissistic power shifts, brand motherhood, and how kids become pawns in the performance. But before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. In today's video, we're going to dive deep into a rumored conflict between Prince Harry and Meghan, specifically reports that Harry is not overly happy with how Meghan is beginning to use their children in her brand rollout. On the surface, this might look like a simple disagreement between parents, but I think there's a lot more going on here. Let's explore power shifts, image control, and malignant narcissist dynamics that play out when children become part of a curated persona. Before we get into it, I want to be clear. This video is based on public reporting, rumors, and behavior patterns, not on personal diagnoses. I'm not a licensed mental health professional, and I am not claiming to know the internal world of Prince Harry or Meghan Markle. What I am doing is using these public narratives to explore familiar psychological dynamics, especially those of malignant narcissism, which I broke down in a previous video. The link to that will be in the description. Meghan is used here as a public example, a case study of sorts, not a clinical subject. If you've ever had a partner who agreed to your boundaries only to slowly undo them, if you've had to protect your children from someone who saw them as a means to an end, this video might resonate more than you expect. So let's get into it. This article was recently published and is titled Prince Harry is not overly happy about Meghan Markle exploiting their kids to promote her brand, according to a royal expert. The article begins, a royal disagreement. The Sun's royal editor, Matt Wilkinson, appeared on Hello Magazine's Right Royal podcast, on Friday and claimed Prince Harry and Meghan Markle aren't on the same page about putting their kids in the spotlight. My understanding of this is that, up to a certain stage, Harry would much rather his children were not seen, said Wilkinson. He doesn't want them to be papped, the royal expert continued of Harry. He's got this idea that if he takes them outside of Montecito, there's a horde of us out there trying to take pictures of his kids. They're not, by the way. Wilkinson said that on the other hand, Markle, 43, grew up in California. She once said she would like to have a more California lifestyle. Take them down the beach, go out, do stuff. She doesn't want to hide them away. We've seen this more and more with the use of the children. We don't see their faces, Wilkinson noted. And the article ends with this quote, you could argue that Meghan isn't exploiting the children. She's just, well, maybe she is exploiting them, said Wilkinson, because she's using them to display her brand. She's a mother, a homemaker, and cooking at home. I mean, we all see right through that, right? We know she's doing it because for financial gain. I can't see any other reason for her doing this. If you have any thoughts about that, please drop them in the comments. So let's talk about this. My theory has always been that Harry has agreed to everything Meghan has said. He has been her yes man. Yes to going here. Yes to having her wedding like that. I mean, he said it himself or maybe he wasn't the one that said it, but I believe it was in Tom Bower's Revenge and also in Lady Colin Campbell's book that it's been quoted that Harry has said, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. So that's essentially being a yes man. But I think that the only hill that he has picked to, I don't want to say that word because I don't want to get flagged, is the public showing of the children. He's always said he doesn't want them in the public eye. And right now, what we are seeing is that boundary not being respected. Allegedly, because we're seeing more photos, more subtle glimpses, more references to Meghan as a mother. It's not a full face reveal, but it's calculated exposure, the kind that keeps the public guessing. And it seems like it's a quiet shift. That's what narcissists are so good at. Not confrontation, not a big fight, just a slow erosion of your boundaries until you're the one who looks controlling for wanting privacy in the first place. Let's be clear, Megan is not just showing her kids, she's using them to sell something. From homemaker photos to curated moments of motherhood, it's about optics, not connection. It's about being the serene, hands on mom in Montecito while launching lifestyle brands and curating the ultimate comeback arc. This is textbook narcissistic branding. Position yourself as soft, relatable, maternal, use the suggestion of children to humanize your image, keep enough mystery to maintain control. And if your partner disagrees, you don't argue, you undermine. You call it being natural or California style living. You make it sound like freedom. So now, if Harry objects, he's not a protective father, he's the guy trying to hide his kids from the world. This is a classic move in narcissistic relationship, this slow reversal of control. The person who once seemed to have a say begins to realize they never actually did. We've seen Harry defend Meghan endlessly, but boundaries only work when both people respect them. And the moment one person starts pushing past them in the name of freedom or brand or aesthetic, that's not growth, it's manipulation. This could be a sign that Megan is feeling the pressure to rebrand again. And what better way to do that than to lean into motherhood, especially after a string of failed ventures? And unfortunately, kids raised in these types of dynamics often become part of the illusion. They're not seen as full people, they're seen as brand extensions. What makes this even more unsettling is that Harry has always said he wanted to protect his children from what happened to him as a child and also what happened to his mother. He really believes that the paparazzi, the media, the tabloids, these are the things that have led to so much ruin in his life. And it's important for us to put it in that perspective. This is the most important thing to him. This is the most traumatic thing he's ever experienced. He places a lot of the responsibility of all the things that have been negative in his life on the press. And like that's how important it is for him to keep the kids away from what he feels has ruined his life multiple times. And I think on top of all of that, he doesn't want his children to grow up feeling like products. He doesn't want them to become tools for public consumption or clickbait headlines. Shielding your children isn't about hiding them, it's about preserving their rights to just be kids, to develop a sense of self that's not tied to a brand, a title, or a narrative. In his own way, from his perspective, he's trying to break a cycle. But in a relationship with someone who sees visibility as power, that kind of protection can be seen as resistance, as control, or even worse, as a threat to the brand. And this is where the tension lies. For Harry, shielding his children is about healing, but for Meghan, if the reports are true, it may be about curating, shaping the perfect image of the perfect family for the perfect brand launch. And when one parent is trying to protect reality while the other is crafting illusion, the children become the battleground. This isn't just a parenting style clash, it's a moral and emotional divide. And unfortunately, in narcissistic relationships, when a partner sets a firm boundary, the narcissist doesn't stop. They just find new ways to go around it while making you feel unreasonable for holding the line. So if Harry is not, in quotation marks, not overly happy about what's happening, it may be because he's finally seeing how little control he really has. If you've already watched my video on the difference between a narcissist and a malignant narcissist, I'm sorry, then you know what we really are talking about here isn't just ego or insecurity, it's calculated control. What really interests me is how this shift happened. How did this dynamic change? Because in the early days, Megan appeared to respect Harry's boundary about keeping the kids out of the spotlight. No public appearances, no full face photos, no royal christenings or balcony moments. On the surface, it looked like a united front. But malignant narcissists are masters of agreement on paper. They'll nod, they'll perform cooperation, but they're not actually invested in your boundary. They're invested in how the appearance of that boundary benefits them. So, yes, Megan agreed because it made her look like the serene, privacy loving mother, the one shielding her kids from the cruel press, the one honoring her husband's trauma. but now that agreement is no longer useful. With failed ventures behind her and a brand in desperate need of reinvention, motherhood has become her next pivot. Not real, raw motherhood, but curated, carefully lit, brand building motherhood. And this is where the malignant narcissist playbook comes into full view because they don't just brown because they don't just break boundaries, they erode them. They don't say no to your limits, they just work around them quietly, strategically. So, if Harry isn't overly happy, as the royal editor claims, it might be because he's watching the last bit of control slip away. And he's not just losing control over public exposure, he's losing control over how his children are being used to shape a narrative. And when you're in a relationship with a malignant narcissist, even your kids aren't off limits. If these reports are true, this isn't just a disagreement between parents, it's a turning point in a narcissistic relationship. Because once the narcissist starts pushing past your last boundary, especially when it comes to children, it's a sign that they either feel so confident in their control that they no longer need permission, or they are preparing to shift the narrative entirely and your role in it is shrinking. And for Harry, this might be a wake up call because narcissists are excellent at making you feel like you're the problem for wanting to protect what matters most. So, what do you think? Is Megan crossing a line or is this just a natural evolution of public parenting? Have you ever had your boundaries slowly pushed until you didn't recognize your own life? Let me know in the comments if you feel comfortable sharing. And if you haven't seen it yet, I recently did a video about narcissism versus malignant narcissism and about the Princess Charlotte incident. I'll link that in the description of this video. If you found this content interesting, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification button so that you'll know every time I drop a new video. I want to thank you all so much for listening, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye, everybody.